Good morning, everybody. Keith Engel for TGI Sports Talk Sunday. Stream of consciousness. How's everybody doing on this? Every day's the same here. Yesterday was nice. It's a little dreary and muggy and hot every day. I was having a little internet problems when I was on the Mac and Jack show. I hope we're coming in better now. And I think it was on my end. I can't really tell. I'm going to do a quick speed test while we're talking, but I want to welcome everybody who's watching on Northeast Streaming Sports on Let's Talk Sports. Maybe you'll see us on Sideline Sports at some point. Not sure what exactly the situation is there, but we'll talk more about it as we go forward in today's show and other shows. Also, if you're catching us later on, we welcome all the groups that do allow me to share the show too. It's good here, guys. Good morning to CA. Good morning. Hopefully you're doing well wherever you're traveling, watching darts this week. I'm curious about the feed. Rick will tell me it's good, I know. Good morning and happy birthday to Carlos, the Mad New Yorker. Absolutely. Happy birthday, Carlos. How are you? Internet issues were there Friday. Now it's a bit stilted. I don't know. I just tested my work computer. The speed was good, and the speed on this computer not as good. So I'm not sure what exactly is going on. We'll have to check that out. I probably screwed myself up. I started to hook up my mesh, and I probably should have left it alone because I had a really good signal before. We may have to get a hold of Spectrum and find out what's going on. I don't know, but we'll see. Thanks for the heads up, and good morning to you, Drew. A couple announcements before we get into today's show. Soon, we'll have the college football huddle returning, I think I can't do it this week, but 19th or 26th. We'll get back into that. One-on-one with Keith Engel will be back. The interview show will be back soon. I don't have a list of people. We're talking to Mike Norris, former A's pitcher, about coming on. Jim Sundberg, former Texas Ranger catcher. Kay Mercer, the wife of my all-time favorite ball player, Bobby Ray Mercer. You Yankee fans will hopefully remember. And some others, Reggie Brooks from Notre Dame, a bunch of guys. So we'll be returning to that format soon as well. And we're going to be joined by Jim Biringer, who's in the waiting room right now. We're going to talk some NHL. We'll get his recap of his visit to Nashville to the NHL draft. We'll talk a little bit about what he thought about the draft itself, obviously, some of the surprises maybe he's seen in the moves in the offseason, or the biggest moves in the offseason so far, whether they be coaching or free agents or trades, and all the news that is fit to be printed. And it's Jim Biringer from FullPressHockey.com and Let's Talk Sports. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, Keith. How are you?
I am doing well. I hope your trip went. I know your trip went well from what I saw you posting, and we're glad to have you back. I know last week we're kind of winging it here a little bit. And interestingly enough, I had a great internet connection last week because I'm winging it. And today, after we're here a week and things should be settling in, I got a horrible connection this morning. So hopefully we survive a little bit here.
Yeah, hopefully we do survive. The internet connections are what gets us going these days, right?
Right. I mean, it's probably because there's so many people doing stuff like this. So anyway. Good morning, and what are your thoughts? Tell us a little bit about your trip in general, and how it was for you personally, and what it was like to be in Nashville for those 3 days.
I mean, Nashville was awesome. It was such a great time. You guys, if you haven't been, it's a wild scene. It's Vegas of the East Coast. It's just party city. If you're into that, the bars are right there. We got, Tootsie's is right there. So we were there a lot, Honky Tonk Central down on Broadway. It's right near Bridgestone Arena. What a fun time we had with the boys, the media. We were making the rounds. Yeah, my picture with Trotz is on my Facebook page. So go find it. I did not bring my picture with Trotz. It's kind of hard to do that. But yeah, ran into Barry Trotz, Nashville Predators' new general manager. And then, he's taken over for David Poyle. And, Trott's such a good guy, what he was doing in Nashville, trying to get younger, bringing the right kind of culture there. That's why they got rid of Matt Duchene. That's why they got rid of Ryan Johansson. They're bringing in the right guys with Ryan O'Reilly, Luke Shen. But overall, Nashville, I loved it. Being there, experience, covering the NHL draft, a member of the media. It's great. Other times I've covered from the draft, just like on the outside, but being downstairs, great experience, understanding the game, how the business works. Talking about how, it's a salary cap, things get moved, why things don't happen, how trades develop. It's very, very interesting just being on that floor and hearing guys talk and, just trying to, get yourself known and, just make the right connections.
I hope that worked out well for you because it's a great experience. Nashville is a great city, by the way. That's one place, and we haven't been there, but it's on our soon list because we're big country fans, and there's no better place to be on the strip in Nashville. And now the NFL had their draft there a couple of years ago as well, so it's becoming quite the sports venue as well. So that's great to see. What were your takeaways from the draft? Surprises? Anything? I know a lot of it went to as you would expect it to go. But what are your thoughts overall about the draft?
I mean, I think like the biggest surprise was that a lot of trades didn't happen. A lot of people were expecting more trades than they did. But again, the salary cap, biggest winner of the draft and free agency, just because the salary cap going only up $1 million, and teams that are moving players like Connor Hellebuck, like a John Gibson, like an Alex DeBrincat, don't want picks and prospects anymore. They want players, and it's kind of hard to give up guys. You're not going to get value in return. That's why we haven't seen like the big moves yet. Yes, before the draft, we saw Pierre-Luc Dubois traded. We saw Tyler Toffoli traded to New Jersey. You saw Ryan Johansson go to Colorado. You saw Kevin Hayes go to St. Louis. But overall, the big deals we expected in the draft didn't happen. Mitch Koff going to 7, not really surprised. I think teams in front of him were not. They weren't really high on him. Not to say they weren't high on him, but they had other needs, and they were, again, drafting a Russian. He's going to be 3 years out anyway. So, but for Philly, that's a great move by them. Leonard, I like. That kid, Gabe Perreault, for New York Rangers, is going to be a really good kid when he gets into the NHL. Also, Matthew Wood for Nashville Predators. But the top picks, I mean, obviously Bedard. Maybe the surprise was Fantilli going Columbus, but from all indications is he really wanted to go to Columbus. He's going to go to Columbus. A lot of Michigan guys there. You have Carlson going to Anaheim at 2. Will Smith goes San Jose. I think Reinbacher, I think the Montreal fans not happy with the pick, but I think the kid's going to be a good player. I think Arizona, again, continues to show why they're one of the worst teams in the league. Just because they just don't understand that, just because a defenseman goes doesn't mean there needs to be a run on D. Their pick could have been Shimashev could have been a little bit later. I know they get Daniil Butt as well, but again, what are you looking at there? Just because there's a run on D, you should be taking the best available player. So, and that's a big reason why the Coyotes struggle.
And Jim's curious what you think about your Devils and how they may have improved or not improved so far this offseason.
I mean, the Devils, look, their draft picks are what they're going to be. These kids aren't going to be – they're not going to make the team for a few years now. Devils-wise, I mean, look, they're probably one of the most improved teams. They're bringing back a lot of players, same players. They re-signed Timo Meier. They re-signed Jesper Bratt. They kept Michael McLeod, Nathan Bastian. You bring in Tyler Toffoli. Now, can you get the stud goaltender? Because if you get the stud goaltender, the best team in the Eastern Conference by far. Look, Tom Fitzgerald's done a great job with the New Jersey Devils, keeping guys in a salary hierarchy. You get Timo Meier, 8.8, Jesper Bratt under Jack Hughes. Just guys just falling in line, understanding it's about winning. It's not about getting the most money. You leave some on the table for other guys, and then you're able to build a winning team. They bring in Colin Miller, too, from Dallas. It's a nice depth move, just in case Simone Nemec isn't ready. The guys that I knew weren't coming back are not coming back. And here we are today, New Jersey still in the mix for a goaltender. because Tom Fitzgerald, excuse me, has not spoken yet about, what he did at free agency, and they're still moving on things. So could they get Connor Hellebuck? Could it be UC Saros? Could it be a John Gibson? We don't know. I know those are the names that continue to be thrown out there. But again, we're getting to the point now where little things are just going to trickle out. It's not like it was July 1st. And now this is where we're getting to the point where a lot of things are going to slow down.
Looks like we're talking about, I think we're talking about darts again here for CA. CA's our dart champion expert.
So he's talking about a game.
I did too. Was he?
No, I'm talking about darts. That's a game. That's not a sport.
Oh, no. CA, let's not get in fighting words here. As far as the offseason goes, I mean, and some of the moves that we've talked about here, is there somebody that you say can see either taking a big leap or a big fall? It's early to be talking about that, obviously, but somebody who might be a candidate to take a big leap forward or even a step backwards?
Look, you look at the normal teams that we've seen make the playoffs, and you look at teams like Carolina. Carolina's going to be fine. They bring back the three-headed monster in the goal, which was a little strange, but I think the way the market was, with the way the money was, I think guys realize staying at home might be best. Try to test the market. I like the addition of Orloff. They keep, Eric Stahl. You keep Jesper Fosk. They're going to add Tony DeAngelo eventually today. That trade's going to go through. Because they couldn't do it when they wanted to, because you can't trade a player within the same calendar fiscal year as the previous. So Tony DeAngelo was traded like July 7th last year. You can't trade him before that date. So that trade will finally come through today. So, and then they're in the mix for Carlson, which makes no sense because him and Burns on San Jose didn't work too well. Again, Carlson wasn't the player he was, but how much power play time is it for all three guys? So, and then, to me, Carolina's good, Jersey's good. New York teams, I'm going to go with the Islanders, Rangers right here. Look, I'm not a fan of what the Islanders did. I understand Term and AAV are tied together, but Scott Mayfield, 7 years is a long time. Pierre Engvall, 7 years is a long time. Simeon Varlamov, 35 years old, that 4-year contract, that's a little much. Obviously, you have to sign Sorokin to that 8-year deal. But, again, the Islanders have yet to address goal scoring. I know they're in the mix for Alex DeBrincat, maybe Tarasenko. But, again, is that system conducive to guys that are offensively gifted and can put the puck in the net? Bo Horvat, perfect example. He's had 30-something goals in Vancouver. Bad Vancouver team. Comes here. You're telling me he can't put the puck in the net? The Islanders have to address goal scoring. Yes, I understand defense still wins. Vegas showed it. But Vegas also averaged 3.5 goals per game. So, and they got timely goaltending. That's an issue for me. The Rangers, Blake Wheeler, look, the right wing position, I like the signing. But again, are they going to bring back Tarasenko? If they do, what are we doing with Lafreniere and Kako? One of them's got to go. Because the way Peter Laviolette was talking, he's like, these kids need to get time. They need to show us what they got, but we're going to bring back 2 veterans. Jonathan Quick is a backup. I like the guy, know the guy. Really cool dude. Unfortunately for me, to back up Shesterkin, play 25 games, that defense is not what it was. Again, the Islanders and Rangers got a little older and slower, not faster to keep up with those Devils in that division. I'm not trying to be a biased Devils fan here, but if you saw the playoffs, you see speed still kills. And if you play good defense, it's going to be tough to beat. Pittsburgh, to me, another head-scratching decision. What are you doing? Tristan Jarry, 5 years at 5.375? To me, I'm sorry. I'm just not sold on that. Jarry hasn't really shown me anything. I like their other signings, Eller, Nieto. Bring guys in like that. They needed some depth scoring. But, again, Kyle Dubas showing me probably if he stayed in Toronto, he's probably running it back. Again, I know you don't want to count on a Sid and Malkin team, but tough decisions had to be made. Pittsburgh's still not making the tough decisions. You look around the league, like I said, Preds, I'm happy what they did, bringing in Ryan O'Reilly, Luke Shen, guys like that. They're changing the culture over there. Toronto, interesting moves by them. Ryan Reeves, 3 years, a little long, but okay. You bring in a John Klingberg. You bring in Tyler Bertuzzi, Max Domi. They're changing the culture. They're changing the attitude. I like what they're doing there. Obviously, the Kings make their big trade for Dubois. They re-sign him to that big contract. That's a solid move. Again, Boston, you have to go bottom feeding because of the salary cap. JVR, Morgan Geekie, Kevin Shattenkirk. I like those signings. I don't know if they're going to be as good because is Bergeron and Krejci coming back down the middle. Another team, Florida, riddled by injuries. They go out and get defense. Oliver Ekman-Larsson on the back end. I like that signing. I like Evan Rodriguez as well. And then Duchesne going to Dallas. That's a solid move too. And don't be surprised if Jonathan Drouin in Colorado gets his mojo back playing alongside his Halifax Moosehead running mate in Nathan McKinnon.
Good stuff. Good stuff. What did you hear in Nashville or elsewhere about some of the there's some big name unrestricted free agents coming up this year, probably headed by Austin Meadows. What are your thoughts about will he stay with Toronto or will he move on?
I think the big thing is that Matthews is going to stay in Toronto.
Yeah, sorry.
Matthews is going to stay in Toronto. The big thing is what's the extension going to look like? Originally coming into Nashville, I was hearing it was going to be 3 years like most people. Now it's going to be 5 years, and he's going to be the highest paid player in the league. He's going to pass Nathan McKinnon, and he's going to get another shot at maxing out when the salary cap really goes up. And that's smart hockey. I wrote about that. He wants to max out. He's like an NBA guy. He understands how to get the most money for his value. The real question is now
that's a touchy subject these days.
Yeah, I'm not going to really get into that because it's not really – look, I'll say this. It's not really the NHL so much of – it's basically the media that got called out by Gary Bettman in the NHL and basically is like they're the ones that made a big deal about it. Okay, so we're going to take it out of your hands. The players didn't care. The players don't care. Certain guys, whatever, they don't care.
Yep.
You know what? That's what it is. It is what it is. As far as Toronto goes, look, they have a decision to make with William Nylander. He's coming up soon. He's going to want $10 million. He's going to want Timo Meier money. The Leafs were left in a poor position by Kyle Dubas. They had to make some tough decisions. These guys just can't continuously get paid and think they're going to win. And we see it. One team in the last, 10 years or so, since we've had this big salary cap jump, one team had one player make $10 million and win the Stanley Cup. It doesn't work. You got to have guys under $10 million to win the Stanley Cup. Obviously, we saw Tampa do it a bunch of times. But again, Kucherov, Vasilevsky, Stamkos, all under $10 million. Like, it's kind of hard to keep your team together that way. And it's a shame because if there was a luxury tax, Tampa still has McDonough. They still have all these guys. But again, the salary cap wreaking havoc. They lose Killorn. They've lost Palat. Toronto, are they going to move Nylander? What about Tavares? They're going to have some tough decisions. I was talking with Craig Button at TSN. He's like, don't tell me it can't be done. There's a way to get it done. Vegas figures it out a way. They make tough decisions. Yes, Tavares is your captain in Toronto. Yes, he has a no-trade clause. Ryan McDonough had a no-trade clause too, and they asked him to waive it to go to Nashville. Don't tell me things can't be done because they can be done.
Just got to have the wherewithal or the will to actually make those hard decisions, right? So
yeah, exactly.
And I did read your article here the other day that your favorites for the Stanley Cup next year are Carolina and Toronto.
Well, those are the early betting line favorites. Carolina.
Right.
Right. Those are not my favorites. If I had to put a favorites list together, it starts with the Vegas Golden Knights just because of what they did. They keep Ivan Barbashev. You have Aiden Hill. That team is still good. Bruce Cassidy's a great coach. You still have the same defense. You lose Riley Smith. Again, another tough decision. But, again, they've been doing it since day one. They know how to make tough decisions. 2 Stanley Cup finals, a Stanley Cup. They've done it. New Jersey would be up there for me. Carolina would be up there for me. I don't know if I put Boston as high. Colorado probably be back up because of the rest. But again, it's their second line center. Let's see what Ryan Johansson is. If he's healthy, he's really good, and Colorado's going to be a difference maker. But can they get the goaltending? Toronto is still a question mark for me. I don't know. Every year they seem to make changes. Every year they seem to be one of the favorites. They got out of the first round for the first time since 2004. Let's see if you can make a deep run. Maybe they change of attitude with the right guys in there. They can finally get it done. But again, I'm not sold. Devils are up there. You got maybe Dallas you could throw back in there, Rangers. But to me, until somebody beats the champs, they always look good to me.
What would be the best story? To me, the Toronto prediction is interesting because I think Toronto winning a Stanley Cup would be a great story. But maybe any team from Canada actually winning a Stanley Cup after 30 plus years would be a great story. Would that be a great thing for the NHL or not?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a guy like Connor McDavid or Austin Matthews ending that 30-year, drought would be great. I think McDavid's going to get one soon. Can they get the goaltending in Edmonton? Do they believe in Jack Campbell? They've added some pieces. We'll see if they're the right pieces in Edmonton. Yeah, it'd be great. Any team. Look, obviously, a Canadian team winning a Stanley Cup would be great. So hopefully they can get it done.
Who would have thought? I mean, do you think anybody 30 plus years ago would have thought it'll probably be 30 years before anybody from Canada wins a Stanley Cup again?
I mean, they've had chances. Think about it, though. Yeah, they won in 93, but Vancouver was there in 94. Then they went through a stretch where it was 2004, 2006, 2007, where they had teams in the final. 2011, somebody was there. Look, the Flames probably, you talk to Flames fans, they won the Stanley Cup in 2004, and everybody knows it. The goal was past Nikolai Hobby-Bulin. The puck was in the net. Again, these angles and whatever you want to talk about it. Calgary had a great chance. Edmonton had a great chance, but in 2006 as well. So they've had chances to do it. I just haven't been able to close the door on it, and they've been right there losing in a bunch of Game 7s. Ottawa just got blown out in 2007. And obviously Montreal in 2021, but they didn't really stand a chance against that Lightning team. Mm-hmm. So to me, Edmonton, Toronto have chances. Let's see what else they do. Ottawa's going to be a good team down the road too. So you never know what's going to happen.
And what else, Jim, before I let you go, what else should we be on the lookout here as we passed the immediate frenzy of the draft, free agency, and it's not done, but the frenzy may be past. What should we be looking for in the weeks to come?
So Keith, see, this is why Keith's one of the best in the business. He already knows what my next article is going to be. So NHL offseason, biggest names to watch the rest of the way. Vladimir Tarasenko, where's he going to end up? Matt Dumba. Is Connor Hellebuck going to get traded? What about Mark Scheifele? What about John Gibson, Saros, players like that? Are we going to finally get those trades that we expected to get done? Where's the DeBrincat going to go? Is he going to finally go to Detroit? We don't know. Again, a lot of moving parts. But again, things as the summer continues on, GM's up at the cottage, wherever we're at, things are going to slow down. But I expect those couple of those trades potentially to go down. But obviously, watch out, Tarasenko, Dumba, two of the biggest free agents out there.
Well, we'll get you in periodically to talk about the NHL, and we'll certainly get you on Wednesday nights here and there as we head towards college football, which I know we love talking about that as well. So
absolutely, we always do.
All right, Jim, listen, you have a great day. I think where you're off to today? You're off to watch tennis, or are you going to the tennis?
I'm playing some tennis today.
Oh, you're playing tennis. Okay. I wasn't sure if you're allowed to get it to get over to Wimbledon for breakfast, or it's actually lunchtime now, so I don't know what I'm.
It's lunchtime now, but it's breakfast over here, so.
Right. All right. Listen, you have a great day. Always great having you with.
Absolutely.
For this, Jim, and we'll talk soon.
Always a pleasure being on here, bringing the hockey knowledge, guys. Take it easy. Enjoy the summer. We'll see you soon.
Bye. Have a great day.
Bye.
Great Jim Biringer. Oh my God, this internet driving me crazy. This is gonna be a long hour and a half for me if it's gonna be like this. What do we got here? We got a couple comments I didn't get to, and I will before I jump into the baseball. Drew's comment. Morning to Kenny Gifford. I didn't get a chance to say good morning to Kenny, and I didn't put your comment up about Jim for the Devils. You can. This is going to be a long morning. CA says the Cowboys and Saints both got their first Super Bowls at the Vikings' expense. Well, this is true. During the playoffs, not in the Super Bowl, obviously. We could bring that up. Nice to see Jim Jeffcoat. I guess, CA, you were on with the Mac and Jack show earlier. Jim Jeffcoat, great contributor to that show on Sundays, and somebody that I consider a friend now. We have a lot of good goodbye play, and Jim is one of the best guys you could meet. We talked about that. There's another comment coming up here. CA says that because Jim had said that darts was not a sport. Again, games, sports, it's all interchangeable. Do you need some athletic ability in a game? Makes it a sport in my mind, and you need some kind of hand-eye coordination to play darts. I'm willing to call it a sport. Darts is a sport. It takes many beer bends to get the right throwing motion. There you go, Kenny. We did talk a little bit about that. Listen, it's not false. This is, and again, my political leanings don't. Most of people of my political persuasion would be on the same page. I don't have a problem with Pride Night. I really don't care. What I care about is like the Dodgers bringing in hate groups amongst the Pride people and celebrating them. That I have a problem with. I don't have a problem with anything else. I really don't. I mean, I don't know what Kenny's got a congratulations up for Rick here because I didn't see a comment. And if I missed it, Rick, please repost it. Did I see highlights on the news of Andra playing summer basketball? I have not seen anything yet, Rick. I meant to kind of check that out and haven't had a chance. Listen, Andra Jackson, and we'll get to the MLB in a second. I might talk about a little NBA real quick since we're talking about it, and I don't have a lot to share. But Andra Jackson, I think, is in a great situation in Milwaukee. New coach, one of the great players in the game when he's healthy, and Giannis, and I think a strong core there that they've kept together for a while. And this team disappointed in the playoffs going out in the first round last year, but this is a good basketball team. And Andra Jackson coming off the bench, I think, can be a contributor maybe early on, given the way he plays the game. You know, it's not like he's a high volume scorer. He just does a lot of little things that helps teams win. Why is that so hard to say? And I think Andra Jackson will do very, very well. And if you don't know Andra Jackson, multi-positional player really with the UConn Huskies, drafted by the Bucks in his hometown is Amsterdam, New York. So good luck to him. Who's going to win the cup after this season, or will the Stars repeat? We kind of just talked about that, obviously. I'm sorry I didn't get it up during the Jim's thing. I think between his internet and mine, we were really having an issue there. Mine looks to be stable for the moment. I get a little, there it is now. The little internet bar comes up when it starts to get a little unstable. So anyway, I think it'll be a great story. The Stars didn't repeat. The Stars didn't win. But anyway, the Stars will be in play. I'd like to see a Canadian team get in there. The buffering is truly annoying. I do not disagree, Drew. There's nothing I hate more than an internet issue when we're doing a show. And I can see when it's coming. Without having any other feeds come in, it shouldn't be too bad the rest of the way, I would hope. And we'll certainly get that straightened out by next week. This is annoying. I didn't see any issues Friday. I was surprised you brought that up, Drew. So, oh, yeah, I did want to get into a great story in baseball. Yeah, before I go into that real quick, maybe we'll talk about more about it later. At 74 years old, Popovich gets a 5-year extension with the San Antonio Spurs. Interesting, bringing Wemby in there, and he'll probably be a great player. If he's going to be a great player, we'll know it long before that. So Popovich may get a chance to win another title before he goes out. And the NBA playing an in-season tournament, and we can talk about this or not. What a ridiculous idea. I understand they want to capitalize like the baseball does off the World Baseball Classic. Playing it in season is fine, but just playing with the teams that are already playing a season makes no sense. 0 sense at all. You should have some international competition if you're going to have this type of tournament. And don't play it in season if you don't want to disrupt the season. You're going to disrupt the season for a tournament that will mean nothing? I don't get it. So we'll talk more about that if guys want to talk about it. Going to baseball, I had this on my notes too. De La Cruz with a great game yesterday, still second, third, and home in the same inning against the Brewers. I have not checked the numbers. I don't know if this has ever been done. I'm assuming it has been. The headline didn't start off with Seth's record or end with Seth's record. So great spot there. Some other things we'll talk about. We'll get into some of the division leaders faltering here, except Atlanta, of course. But the Rays are stumbling. The Rangers still stumbling, 3-7 in their last 10. The Angels are falling out of the race. Will Ohtani get put on the market? If the next 3 weeks don't go well, 2.5, 3 weeks don't go well for the Angels with Trout out 2 months, they may go a totally different direction. If they don't think they can re-sign Ohtani, he may be gone at the trade deadline. We'll see. We'll get into that. And some other stuff as well. With a no-hitter yet. You know, Herman pitches the perfect game last week, which is a great story for him. Again, I have my issues, which we may talk about a little bit today. Not too much. The Yankees also suspended pitcher for Cordero for domestic abuse. Herman had the same situation a couple years ago, and I was very vocal that they should just cut ties with him right then and there. So I'm happy for him, and I'm happy he pitched well for the team. If it was up to me, he wouldn't even be on the team. So we'll talk about all that and more. We'll get into some NFL stuff and wherever you guys want to go. There you go. Combined Detroit no-hitter. Are we ever going to see how many? We did see one, obviously, in Herman's perfect game, but whatever happened, just let the kid pitch. Let the guy pitch who's pitching a no-hitter. Why are we yanking these guys? And again, it's. I'm not going to go down the whole freaking pitching approach to pitching that's ridiculous today. But combined no-hitter is great. It's a no-hitter, but why aren't you giving the guy a chance to pitch a no-hitter? Depriving this team, depriving the fans of history. Futures game coming up. Well, we got the All-Star break coming up, obviously, after today. I don't think we'll have any real baseball until Friday. You'll get the Home Run Derby tomorrow, the All-Star game on Tuesday. When the Futures game, I'm not even sure when they're playing it. The Futures game, to be honest with you, I have a little more interest in the Futures game than I even do in the All-Star game. We talked about it last week. The All-Star game's lost a lot of luster for me. So we'll have to see how it goes. So I do have some interest in the Futures game, and we can take a look if we get a chance at some of the guys playing in that big cup. Nobody cares, man. Why play a tournament in season with the teams that are already playing? If you want to get creative and play the U.S. against again, all the teams from other countries, just like the WCBC does, just like soccer does, or you don't want, you can play it in season if you're going to play it for a couple of weeks. Who cares? But just to play a tournament, it's all about money. Pop will retire before his extension expires. My bet is it's guaranteed, so maybe. No hitter in Detroit, and it was a pitcher's fault on the plate steal. It often is. How often, really, when you think about it, Kenny, is it not the pitcher's fault when a guy steals home? You're looking right at the guy, right? You step off the rubber. But again, fundamentals are lost on players today. Most all sports play tournaments within season. Why? It's baseball doesn't, football doesn't, basketball now will, hockey doesn't. So what sports are we talking about? Soccer? Okay. But they don't. I don't care what sport we're talking about. First of all, so that's one sport. I don't know what other sport we're talking about, Carlos. So most sports would be the ones I just mentioned who do not. And I'm okay playing a tournament. Don't get me wrong. But play an international competition. Don't play just with the teams that are playing for a championship now and give them a phony championship during the season. I mean, who cares? And others, if you want to talk about kids, they go out and play tournaments within season on travel teams and whatnot. But they don't just play against the same teams they're playing against all year. Nonsense. Okay, so you're right. It's still wrong. Just because you're right doesn't mean they're right. No, I don't like that. I don't like again, I don't have a problem with the concept of playing, but well, it depends on if you're okay with Canada enjoying anything until they change. Certainly some deserved joy in life and fandom, but I'm not sure. Again, I don't have a problem with Canadians. I work for a Canadian-owned company. And outside of that, if I don't really have a problem with Canadians at all. And when we're talking about sports, I'm able to separate sports from some of the other nonsense that goes on in the world, and I have no problem with them. I'd like to see it'd be good for the NHL, being as the sport came to us from Canada. I always root for the original 6 teams anyway. A Ranger fan as it is, when they're not in it, I like to see I like to see the Blackhawks doing well, or the Canadians doing well, or Toronto doing well. I guess Toronto may not have been number 6. Keith Truckee, truth as always. Thank you, Dan Harris. Dan Harris from it's truth as I know it anyway. I mean, again, my opinions are my opinions, right? I'm not trying to change anybody's thoughts. I will tell you what I think. If I think something's ridiculous, I'll tell you. If I think somebody's opinion is off center, I'll tell them, but I don't expect them to change their opinion based on mine. The world would be a better place if it did just listen to what I had to say. But, until I'm named king of the world, it's not going to happen. But good to have Dan with us from Let's Talk Sports. By the way, get out and check out Dan's shows on Let's Talk Sports. You can see them pretty much daily. Check out some of the other contributors there. Tanner D, certainly Nick Bodkins, Johnny Cruz, Steve Cote, Alan Perales, who's certainly started out his career on this show, basically. Get out and check out those shows. And also check out on Northeast Streaming Sports, the Mac and Jack show, and the Byron Williams and Jim Jeffcoat football show on Mondays or Wednesdays, the boxing show with Jack Hirsch and Frank Latarzo. Some really good stuff on both networks, obviously. Otani in the toe would be a nice thing. I'm not so sure. There's a couple problems here. Yankees, I'm not giving up, Peraza or giving up any of the kids for Otani unless I know I can sign them. And indications up till now have been that Otani doesn't want to play in New York or on the East Coast. So again, the question becomes, would I like to see Otani and Judge playing together? Absolutely, I would. But I don't think the money is the issue. The problem is I'm not giving up the kids. And I guess, if they're going to talk trade, Peraza is going to be included. Dominguez name might get mentioned. Who knows? I mean, if Torres is in there, who cares? Torres is the one trade chip I certainly don't mind seeing going. The Yankees, if that were to happen, if there were kids involved, I would make the Angels take Stanton's contract and get it out of here. So another roadblock to it happening because the Angels aren't going to do that. Now, the Angels aren't necessarily going to trade Otani either. They have fallen out of the race a bit. Well, they're in the race. I shouldn't say that, but they have lost, 5 in a row? 5 straight, 1-9 in their last 10. They've fallen a game under 500. Still in a wild card race. But Trout's out for 2 months. If this team continues to stink for the next 3 weeks, Otani could very well be on the market. Because remember, they're going to get nothing unless the Angels think they can sign him. But they risk losing him for nothing except maybe a compensatory, if I said that closely right, draft pick. And that's assuming they make an offer, which, again, they will. So, anyway, it's going to be very interesting to watch what happens at the trade deadline. Some moves are getting made. The Mets picked up a couple of relievers from the Mariners. One of them they already designated for assignment. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to work out for the Mets. Who are these guys anyway? Is this in my? Nah, it's not right there, so I don't have it right in front of me. But we'll actually I do have it right here. Who did they pick up? I don't know that either one of these guys is going to be, all that great. Do they solidify their bullpen a little bit? Yeah, but this isn't the kind of trade that's going to turn this team around. That's for sure. Now they played better, obviously, in July, as they've lost, I think, just one game. They're 6-1 in July, so. And they're in the wild card race, so. It's going to be interesting to see what the Mets do. They can't trade Verlander or Scherzer without eating a bunch of the contract. So you might as well keep the guys around. Who's they? Who's they lost, by the way, 3-1? I'm looking at the scores right now to see who Carlos might be talking about. Oh, the Mets lost. Their first loss in July. Probably a big series, because both these teams are struggling, both trying to get back in the race. And I think this is a big series. I think this is a big game today for them for the rubber match for this series. Oh, they played the Futures game yesterday, so I missed it. This is what happens when you move. I've lost all track of time, days. I worked 2 days last week. What do I do with my orange juice? Oh, there it is. Anyway, how was the game? Let's take a look at it real quick, Drew. Why don't we take a quick look at the let's see if I can pull up the box score for the Futures game. Let's see what happened. I don't even know who played. I'll check it out. MLB Futures game. Let's see how it went. Bleacher Report. The game was won 5-0 by the National League youngsters over the American League youngsters. I wanted to see a box score is what I wanted. I can't get one from Bleacher Report. There it is, box score. Who got to play in this game for the National League? Crow Armstrong, Scott, Schwellenbach, Massey, Vasil. I believe he's a Mets farm guy, isn't he, Drew? He's I know, highly rated. Merrill, Churio, Wood, Fernandez, another Marte. Not a lot of recognizable names here if you're not diving deep into the weeds in the minor leagues. Which, since I do play fantasy baseball, and here I am on another Sunday with a chance to win, so I'll probably lose by 7 points today. Although I'm fairly solid where I'm ahead. In the past, I played in a true auction league, a true fantasy league, dynasty league, where we drafted 45-man rosters. And you drafted, you had a minor league system. You signed them to contracts. And they would, you'd have them until they made it to the major leagues. And you'd have guys, it's just like real baseball. You sign guys to long-term contracts or let them walk as free agents. But then I paid a lot more attention to the minor leagues because, you can draft anybody from high school up. It was a lot of fun. I haven't played in that league now in, I guess, 3 years, but I spent 30 years in that league. It's a lot of fun. Not that Drew's day-to-day league isn't fun. It's just a lot of, some days I forget because I get busy. Life is busy. But it's certainly no more taxing than managing a 45-man roster. It was a lot of fun. I miss it. I'm looking at the American League. Nothing really stands out here. So anyway, the National League does win this game 5-0. The on just 5 hits, by the way. Scored 3 runs in the 6th inning. So a little interesting stuff there. That's not a yearly thing, Carlos. I mean, come on. And then they decided they're not sending with that. Right? International competition. Send them. That's like once every 4 years, though. And that's not just playing the same teams you're already playing. So you're comparing apples to oranges here. It's not even close. Again. No, it's not the same thing. You compare. Show me a professional sport. You just said most sports. You named one, and by the way, if you've noticed, the NHL doesn't send their players anymore. Darts, soccer, and cornhole. All sports take athletic. They all take athletic skill to play. Like Yahtzee's not a sport. International leagues have more than is sports true. What is that? IS? International leagues have more than IS sports. I guess. I think you meant U.S. sports, maybe. That's what you meant. Let's get into the standings here, Drew, once. By the way, the Rays are coming back. All the division leaders are starting to come back. Before I jump into the East, the Rays are coming back. They only got a 2-game lead on the Orioles, 3-7, as Drew points out here in their last 10. Lost 7 in a row. Yankees and Blue Jays haven't made up much ground, but the Orioles, 2 games out. The Guardians have gone into first place, so the Twins have blown their lead, the tenuous lead that they had. The Guardians get to over 500, I think, for the first time all year, or close to it. The Rangers, sorry, Alan, don't know if you're with us this morning, but 3-7 in your last 10. The Astros, still not hitting the ball well, 7-3 in their last 10. They've moved to within 2 games out. The Mariners starting to play a little better, have moved past the Angels. Careful. 52. Rangers got the top wild card at 50. Baltimore's at 53. That's the wrong league. Who else is close? Yankees at 49. A playoff berth is not imminent for the Rangers. Let's just keep that in mind. So they're reeling. The Braves aren't reeling. They've won I'd have to go back and look, but they've won some crazy amount of games. 91 their last 10, but they've won like 20. I want to say 26 out of 32 or something. They've been crazy. The Marlins continue to stay in second. The Reds have supplanted the Brewers, but the Brewers are not playing horrible baseball. So that division lead disappeared for the Brewers and has been for weeks. And the Diamondbacks, only a half a game ahead of the Dodgers now after going 4-6 in their last 10. So lots of changes in the division leaders, concentrating on the American League East as Drew is doing here. The Yankees pull out a win yesterday, but the lack of offense has just been atrocious. I really think that Donaldson, he had a home run yesterday, but he's got like 13 hits for the year. He's got 10 home runs, but that's like he's only got like 6 other hits. What's he got? Let's see. Take a quick look here. Is that hits? Why doesn't it scroll? I hate never build spreadsheets where you can't see the top all the way down. Where are we? Josh Donaldson, 14 hits, 10 of them are home runs. 4 singles. Take that back. 3 singles all year. He's got a double. I do believe you're seeing Josh Donaldson in the lineup this weekend because this is his last hurrah. I think Donaldson may very well get released. Over the All-Star break. Yankees have got to make a move here, and he's not contributing. And this offense has got to start scoring runs. Rondon had his debut the other night, pitched okay, but again the offense ruined it because they didn't score any runs. So what else? Blue Jays, they're playing okay. I guess looks like Drew, my prediction of Schneider getting fired by the All-Star break will not happen. Probably wishful thinking, wanting Donnie Baseball to get a actual good team to manage. That would have been nice. And the Red Sox won 4 in a row. Man, they will not go away. I'm a little surprised. All these teams will be buyers come the trade deadline. Toronto is a San Francisco of Canada. Well, again, I'm a live and let live kind of guy, so I'm not getting bothered. I don't care. Nice to see any New York teams. It will be nice to see any New York team. There's only 2 with Ohtani or Ronnie. I don't know. Is that a soccer player that I'm not aware of from the Far East? I do believe he means Ohtani. I don't think he wants to play here. The Mets going to take, well, I guess the Mets could take on any contract they want with Cohen. But again, the Mets aren't moving Scherzer or Verlander without eating a bunch of their contracts. So why trade them? Unless you're punting this season. And maybe the Mets should punt the season. But if you make the playoffs, and you got 2 Hall of Fame pitchers, if they're pitching anywhere near their normal to their normal level, I like their chances at a 2 out of 3 game series if I could throw 2 Hall of Famers out there. And I know Scherzer stunk it up last year during the playoffs, but I don't know. I don't have a good feel for what the Mets might do here. I don't have a good feel whether the Mets actually could make a run in the playoffs because I don't think they're nearly as good as the Braves. I don't know. You could make an argument that on paper they're as good as the Reds and they're as good as the Diamondbacks, but who have a bunch of kids. CA says the Angels should be sellers. They should be. They're not really. Again, they can fool themselves into thinking we can make the playoffs, but is that enough? Is that enough to get nothing for Ohtani and let him walk for free? I really think they're going to be in a position where they may move Trout. Not now because he's hurt. It's unlikely he'll get traded at the deadline. Mike Trout, it's a shame because he's going to go. He may go his entire career if he stays with the Angels and never make the playoffs. Ernie Banks, present day Ernie Banks. They be the Mets. Are we going to have a TGI Sports Talk Fantasy Football League this season? Did we do it last year? I don't think we did. I guess we can do something, CA. We got to have at least, we got to get 12 teams. So if we get 12 commitments, we'll do it. Baseball was a little too much, but football, I don't mind doing it. I'm in a couple other leagues. Drew has a pick'em league, which, Drew, if you want to expand that at all, we can certainly feel free to share the information with the guys here. If you don't, that's certainly fine. I'm in one on Let's Talk Sports, but yeah, I think we could run one. And we had a pick'em league, which we'll do again this year probably. We didn't have a fantasy league though. We'll certainly. I certainly don't have any issues doing it because once we do it, it's going to run itself. CA is a question for me and everyone who plays fantasy. Listen up, Drew and Rick. If you all took a keeper league team that has Hopkins on it, would he be one of your keepers? Yes. Well, it depends on who my other guys are, obviously. But if your question is because would I keep him because I think he's going to play? Yeah, he's going to sign somewhere. And I think he'll sign somewhere where he's going to be productive. If he signs with the Patriots, which, again, is still a very real possibility, he will have really good numbers. Would they be eye-popping? No. He could score a bunch of touchdowns. Patriots need help around the red zone, and him and Jazeski will help that a lot if he were to sign there. But I think I would, depending. But again, it depends on who my other options are as well. So, AL Central. Drew brings us to. The Guardians get hot. If 6-4 really qualifies as hot, they have won 3 in a row, playing much, much better baseball than they were earlier in the year. This is a dangerous team to watch out for if they do sneak into the playoffs. Very unlikely you're going to see a wild card out of the Central, obviously. But then I thought that about the NL Central probably 3 weeks ago. Now you got the Brewers and the Reds battling for the top, and the loser potentially having a shot at a wild card. 2 teams finally at 500 or slightly better. Slightly. You can't get any more slightly than 1. The Royals a hair short. The Royals and the A's are going back and forth in this race for horrendous records. Drew, I'm going to leave it to you to give me their pace. I think they're still close. Right now, the A's are a half game behind the Royals, or ahead of the Royals, depending how you want to look at it. All right. And they've lost 6 in a row, and the A's have lost 3 in a row. I'm going to leave it to you, Drew, to do me some math for me and tell me the run rate, because I got to believe we're still pretty close to that 120 loss figure, which is the record set by the immortal 62 Mets. Where else in the only in the Central can you beat the Tigers in 10 games under 500 and probably be buyers because you think you're in the wild card race. Tigers have some good young kids. I would hang on to them. Now, there's some guys they can move off that team. Why they want to move the pitcher whose name's escapes me? I think Rodriguez. I think it's Rodriguez. Why they want to move him is amazing to me because this maybe he's not under team control anymore. But listen, team's not going to get better if you trade young guys for some veteran that you're going to rent for 3 months when you're 10 games under 500. Even if you make the wild card, you're not going to do anything. White Sox, horrendous disappointment. They'll be selling. Tim Anderson gone. Lance Lynn gone. And probably a few other guys. Gilberto, if I'm saying his name right, the pitcher, he'll be gone. I think he's a free agent after the year, and he's had a pretty good year. I think they're going to keep a few guys they're going to build around. Vaughn, Robert. I think they'll keep Dylan Cease. I think they'll keep I think they'll keep the DH. Let me pull this up. So I got. Oh shit! What'd I do? There we go. Let me look real quick. Tell you the guys I think they're going to build around. Joe Kelly would have been available, by the way, but he went on the IL. I think they'll keep Cease. All the other pitchers are going to be up for grabs, including Hendricks, who's back on the IL. Grandal will probably, and Grandal, somebody who might draw something. I think they'll keep Vaughn. I think they'll probably, who knows about Remillard? I mean, he's not a young rookie, the local product. Moncada could get traded. Anderson could get traded. Benintendi, again, I think they'll listen to offers. I think Luis Robert's health safe, and I think Jimenez is safe. Other than that, I think this team could trade anybody on his roster. One of the few sellers and one of the few that have a lot of talent to trade. So the price for these guys is going to be exorbitant. Listen, I haven't seen the internet instability marker pop up on my screen in a while. How's it been? If you'll comment, say the last 10 minutes or so. Last 10 minutes only. So anyway, that's that. Let me get to a couple more comments here. I think I'm beating that guy who was bragging last year when I misunderstood how the season ended. Which guy is that? I wonder if it was the same guy I berated during the draft, before the draft, about the three true outcomes being the way baseball ought to be judged these days. And I felt bad after that. I had a bit of a meltdown. Get off my lawn! Sorry. Carlos just loves to get Keith going. Yeah, doesn't he, CA? Facts don't matter. Just throw out whatever. Every league has an in-season. U.S. sports. So far, you haven't really given me a good example of one that compares to the Major League Baseball, or the NBA in-season tournament. I haven't seen one yet that compares to what they're trying to do. Dusty and staff are doing an excellent job, just like the Yankees are with injuries. A lot of injuries, man. And again, everybody goes through injuries, but the Astros and the Yankees, the Mets, a lot of teams have been particularly hit this year. The White Sox. But injuries are no excuse for losing. You've got to manage around it. As CA says, Dusty's done a great job keeping the Astros alive. Altuve back on the DL now. So we'll see how that happens. Sorry if you're, I hope you're not offended by the use of DL by yours truly. How did we miss the West? Oh, there we go. I skipped over your thing here. So we are on the West. The Astros have done very well, made up 4 games in the last 4 days, as Drew says. Texas Funk at 3-7. The last 2 or 3 weeks have been a bit of a wake-up call for the Rangers. They went from having the best record or second best record in baseball, I think, to the third best record in the American League. And as I said, getting very close to where if they were to fall out of first place, they're not going to be guaranteed a wild card spot here. And I still think their pitching is going to be a little thin, and they will make some trades. Alan mentioned Friday about some rumors about trying to remember who the heck it was. Oh, I think it might have been a Scherzer coming to Texas. Again, Mets will have to eat a lot of contract for that to happen. Trout injury takes LA. It certainly does, and they were actually not playing well before he actually got hurt. So I think that takes the Angels out, as you say, Drew, and I do think possibly puts Ohtani on the market here at the trade deadline. The A's one loss worse than the Angels' 44 win pace. So if I do my math correctly, that is 118 losses. So they're close. They're still close. Check out that math from my Perth education. Check that out. No calculator, no anything. Did that subtraction in my head. Don't ask me to show my work. We did talk about that. Listen, Dusty Baker's one of the most underrated managers in the history of baseball, in my mind. I was so happy when Dusty got his World Series victory last year. Dusty's going to get in the Hall of Fame now, and he should. He has taken many teams now that weren't doing very well when he got there, got them over the top into the playoffs, in some cases into the World Series, and he doesn't get mentioned as what some of the great managers. People have talked about his handling of pitchers or whatever, because, God forbid we should pitch guys a lot, because we paid them a lot of money to pitch, but we shouldn't really pitch them a lot. But Dusty's done great. He has had a great managerial career and been a winner in San Francisco when people weren't winning in San Francisco, in Cincinnati and Chicago, I think after that, when nobody was winning in Chicago. And if it wasn't for Bartman, he may have been in a World Series with the Cubs. He may have broken the curse 20 years before it got broken. Cincinnati, where nobody was winning at the time, he turned that team around, took them to the playoffs. The Nationals. And now the Astros. NL East. Mets. You even have to extend that out, Drew, and I didn't do the math, but I know that they've won like 26 out of 31 or 27 out of 33, some outrageous number. They just keep rolling. They're the best team in baseball, and they haven't gotten that much production from Fried or Wright, a 20-game winner last year, and Fried, one of the better pitchers in baseball in my mind. Strider's not quite as good as he was last year. He did get named to the All-Star team. The Marlins hanging in there. I think the Marlins have got a pretty good shot. I think you see the Marlins bye. Congratulations to George Soler got off to a bad start this year, and he ended up making the All-Star team. So good for him. And Miami has been steady with, again, about zero contribution from Alcantara, the Cy Young Award winner last year. So kudos to Miami and Schoonmaker, right? Their manager. Have I got that right? Where are you? Yeah, a Shoemaker. Sorry. Skip Shoemaker, former utility player around baseball. Phils are playing better. The Phils have been very, very inconsistent. They're on a good roll right now at 7-3, gotten to 8 games over 500. And the Mets 18.5 out, but still in a wild card hunt. What are they, 6 games out? Actually, they're more than that now. 51, so they're 9 games behind there. I guess 6 games behind the third wild card spot. Not undoable. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Mets decide to do. Ohtani's better than both at the moment. I don't know. Again, it doesn't help me when we move past the conversation better than who? Oh, are you talking about Scherzer and Verlander? No, listen, I don't disagree. Ohtani's going to get crazy money. If Scherzer and Verlander got $40 million or $43 million in one case, Ohtani might get more than Judge. Judge is a great player, but he can't pitch. Ohtani does bring something to the game that nobody else in baseball does. Not pitching quite as well this year as he has in a finger injury, which will likely keep him from pitching in the All-Star game. He was named as a player and a pitcher, but he will probably not pitch. So again, he's a great talent. He's going to get $50 million a year. I'd be shocked if he doesn't. NL Central. Perez factor still in play for Cincinnati. Listen, when it comes to Perez, what's the Perez factor? What am I missing? I don't know why I'm not. I'm blanking out on Perez. Why are we talking about Perez? Are we talking about De La Cruz? What's the Perez factor? I'm missing something. But they are playing well. And by the way, they were playing good baseball before they brought De La Cruz up. Because Matt McLain's played really well at shortstop. And we thought De La Cruz would play shortstop when he came up, and they moved him to third base for the most part. He has played some shortstop, obviously. They've gotten really good production from other guys in this lineup too. Jonathan India is a really valuable player at second base, and he may end up being like a super sub here at some point as more kids come up. Jake Fraley's played pretty well, I thought. Joey Votto has done okay since he's come back, I believe. Let me take a quick look now that I say that. I know his first couple nights back he did well. Yeah, last 7 days he's 9 for 21 with 4 home runs and 10 RBIs. Joey Votto's giving him a nice shot in the arm. And if the Reds get some starting pitching, they would be scary. Yes, right now their starting pitching is scary. Andrew Abbott, who I think got named to the All-Star team as a replacement. Green's out. No, he's inconsistent, but that starting rotation is not scaring anybody. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Reds went out and found a way to get themselves a couple of veteran starting pitchers. That doesn't always work out, but we'll see what happens here. Milwaukee trying to stay close. Milwaukee's played very well. Since Milwaukee lost 6 in a row to actually fall out of first place, I believe they're like 14-7. What they do yesterday, maybe 14-8. Since that point, they've got themselves back to 6 games over 500, only 2 behind the Reds. I think they recovered nicely, and I do think now there's a possibility one of these teams might factor into the wild card before it's all over, where 3 weeks ago I would not have said that. Again, the Brewers have got a lot going for them. They'll probably be out looking for a bat like they were last year and didn't make it happen at the trade deadline. Cubs treading water. Still, the rumor mill is really churning about the Yankees getting Cody Bellinger. Cody Bellinger has had a very, very good rebound season here. Made a great diving stop yesterday, or diving catch, I think maybe to end the game yesterday, or an inning. I think it might have been the game. But he's played, I think pretty well overall. Played well his last 7 games, I can tell you. 12 for 27. He's had a nice, given the seasons that he's had recently, this has been a very, very good season for Bellinger. Plus, he's a good defender who can probably play all 3 outfield positions. He played left field at Yankee Stadium. And I think it would be an interesting an interesting conversation for these teams. I don't think, again, I'm not trading one of the top-notch kids for him. But he's only on a 1-year deal. He wouldn't be obligated for a lot of money. If they wanted major league talent, I would trade Glaber for him in a heartbeat. But we'll see what those trade talks look like. What else has Drew got here? Cubs treading water. Pirates. Listen, I've said all along the Pirates. You know, they're after their first fade, they had a little bit of a spurt, but I think we knew all along this team was not going to continue along the pace that they were. They've got about 3 guys that belong in the major leagues in my mind. One of them is not my old classmate. I'm sorry, he graduated a year behind me. My old high school chum, Rich Hill. St. Louis not going anywhere. Sellers, listen, St. Louis is going to have some guys that they're going to consider trading. Where are we? No comments on the internet, the connection for the last 10 minutes. Don't tell me for the whole show. I want to know for the last 10 minutes. I want to look at let's look at the Cardinals. I think Montgomery's going to be, I think everybody, Adam Wainwright probably won't get traded. I think every single guy in the starting rotation will be available for the Cardinals. A couple of their relievers will likely be available. Contreras will likely be available, but probably nobody's taken on the contract. Goldschmidt won't be going anywhere. Doubtful Brendan Donovan's going anywhere. Arenado, it's not going anywhere. Doubtful Jordan Walker's going anywhere. Newpark could get traded. Tyler O'Neill could get traded. So I think they'll be very active, especially, as Drew says, for starting pitchers going forward. Let me get to a couple more comments here. I guess we're moving right to the NL West. The Dodgers are cutting into the Diamondbacks. Diamondbacks have gone into a I guess that was what the thing that really, when the Mets got off to a 6-game winning streak in July, the idea would be to poo-poo it a little bit, right? But those first 5 of those games were against the Giants, who have played pretty well, and against the Diamondbacks, who were leading the West and played well all season long. So that's why I think those 6 wins, well, then the 6th one was against the Padres. But that's the only reason I have any hope for the Mets salvaging this season. And I'm not sure. I might punt. But the Dodgers, 7-3 in their last 10, 4 in a row, have cut the lead to a half a game against the Diamondbacks. And this is where teams that are young have a little trouble, because they don't know how to win yet. They don't know how to win when the pressure gets tight, and the games carry a heavier weight as we go through this second half of the season now. And they're going to they've got some veterans on that team, but they're going to need to improve that pitching staff. After Zach Gallen and Merrill, which again, he's hurt. There's not, I don't hold a lot of hope for that pitching staff holding together through the second half. And we can't count out the Giants either. I mean, they're 3-7 in their last 10, but they're still a surprising 7 games over 500. And again, continue to be a roller coaster as Drew says, a bit like the Phillies. The Phillies and the Giants have had very interesting mirror-like seasons of up and downs, or a roller coaster, as Drew says. And the Padres, I don't see the Padres straightening this out. But if Ohtani is suddenly on the market, who doesn't think the Padres are going to be in play? They will be, for sure. Sounds like something to build on. I suggest from a scratch keeper. We're not going to go with that. No, I'm not going to do a keeper league. It's too hard. Guys won't want to get involved. We'll never fill it up. That's the problem. We'll do something probably on Yahoo. Yeah, so I'll look to put something together, CA, in the next month or so. I'll put it on my list. I keep saying anybody who wants to put one together, put it together. Because once it starts, there isn't going to be a lot of controversy because it's going to run itself. Feed seems slightly better, more consistent. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. It's really weird because when I was having trouble this morning on the Mac and Jack show, I ran a speed test. And I hooked my mesh up the other day. And after I hooked up the mesh, every place seemed to really kind of dive as far as speed. So I unhooked the mesh. And now that I unhooked the mesh, I'm having a little issue with everything. So I don't know what I've done. I got to go back and take a look at it today. I hope today's a washout so I don't feel so bad about playing around with the internet all afternoon. But thank you for that feedback, Drew. If the Angels were smart, they would retool with just moving Trout and Ohtani. I don't disagree, Kenny. This team has not been constructed well basically for the 12 years that Trout's been there. Some years they've had decent offenses, but no hitting, no pitching at all. Ohtani's still really the only decent pitcher. I think they need to retool this whole thing. And now Rondon's hurt as well, or at least he got banged up the other day. What else we got? Fantasy update. I'm getting destroyed by the number one team as my 3-week fall from grace continues. Keith's only 2 points ahead for the last day matchups. That's like every week I'm that, and I'll lose by 7, as I said. Rick winning 13-7 over the last place team. Rick, you're not playing. You're not playing the trash talker. That's Book of Bo Bouchette. I don't know who the trash talker was. Who is the trash talker? Bartman, one of the funniest moments in dumb fandom history. I got to tell you, I talk about ESPN's 30 for 30s. If you haven't watched the one about the Cubs and Bartman, you have to watch it. I can't remember the name of it now, but it's really, really good. If you have ESPN Plus, which to me is a must if you're a sports fan, especially college football fan or college sports fan, there's a lot of games and there's also a lot of other content. All the 30 for 30s are there. There's a lot of documentaries that you wouldn't get elsewhere, and I find it to be a must for $5 a month. Why my glasses look crooked? Anyway, ADD kicks in. I would catch that. The whole Bartman thing, because when you look at it, Bartman takes the brunt of this, right? But when you look at it, there's about 5 guys going for the ball. It's not just him. Moises Alou pointed right at him, which really caught, and then the camera zoomed in on him, and that was the end for that poor guy. I feel bad for him. I feel horrible for him. That play happens in every single Major League Baseball game played virtually. Every game played, you'll see a play like that. Could they have called fan interference? Possibly, but the ball was basically very close to the wall, coming down on top of the wall. And, I'm not saying Moises Alou should not have been upset, but Moises Alou is really what caused all of that hatred, vile hatred that was aimed at Bartman. He had to have an armed escort out of the frickin' building. They dressed him up like a security guard. I laugh. We can laugh now, I guess. If you're a Cubs fan, it probably wasn't funny then. It's probably still not funny. But if you get a chance, watch the 30 for 30. It's really good. Did the Tigers shop Manning while he's worth more than ever? Yeah, Tigers. Listen, if I'm the Tigers, I'm shopping anybody who's not a kid and going to be part of my future. Manning is what? How old is he? He's only 25 years old. I doubt I'd shop Manning, to be honest with you. Manning's a guy that I would keep around. I think I would keep. I want to check out Rodriguez. Rodriguez is 30 years old, so I might be more likely to move him. If you're giving me a choice between the two, then I'm going to keep Manning just because of his age and probably his contract situation. But who else is available? I wouldn't be surprised to see them trade Torkelson. Javier Baez. But again, who's going to take him in that contract? You're going to have to eat a lot of it. Badu's back now from an injury. Do they keep him or look to move him? It's going to be interesting to see what the Tigers do. It'll be an interesting. I think this is one of the most interesting trade deadlines in years, just because there's so many teams that are going to think they're alive and looking to buy. Back to the fantasy football. I have ESPN, Yahoo, NFL apps, and have saved a freebie slot for you fellas in any one of them. ESPN is good for fantasy news, but the worst play-wise. Well, we don't want that. Yahoo I've had very good success on through the years. I haven't played in the Yahoo League in quite a while, but when I did, I kind of liked, again, sometimes with some of the free applications, they aren't all that good. And I think that's one of the problems with ESPN. I do play on an ESPN one, though. I don't remember. But definitely, let's look to do the Yahoo one, CA. Bartman should never have had that much effect on the game. Lack of player execution was to blame for the loss. That's a very good point, Drew. Because there was that play, yes, but that's just one play out of a gazillion. Gonzalez doesn't field a ground ball at shortstop. The bullpen doesn't come through, and I think Pryor, the pitcher, let that get to him as well. So that Cubs team is a very, very good team. And if you remember right, if I remember, that Marlins team went on to win that series, win the NL, and beat the Yankees. Is that the year? I think that's the year they beat the Yankees. No, 2003. That doesn't sound right. Yeah, actually, I think that might have been the Marlins team that went on to beat the Yankees in the World Series. I could create a league, votes, and one Yahoo has commission name, and Yahoo has commission name only if you fellows would like. How about August 15th for live drafting date? I'm in. Let's set it up. Set it up, Yahoo. Set it up, CA, and we'll share the link here. We can share the link on TGI Sports Talk. I'll share it on my personal page as well. Mark Manning, not a free agent until 28. There you go. Until 28, and he's 25 years old. I doubt I'm trading Mike Manning. As I look at Rodriguez and his situation, he's probably the one likely to go if they do make a trade. And I don't doubt that they would. Let's look at some of the other news going around Major League Baseball right now that I did not touch on. By the way, Wimbledon's being played if anybody's interested in hockey, tennis. I don't get into that too much, but we can certainly look at it. We talked about Dela Cruz stealing second, third, and home in the same inning. Again, you talk about excitement in baseball. I know that I've been a little hard on steals and the increase in steals and the increase in steal success rate because of the shortening of the base pass. I'll use that number one, by the way. I know what they did was actually enlarge the bases, but it also had the impact of shortening the base path. So we had an incident in Chicago where the umpire in this game, Lance Barrett, saw Gallegos hit his left arm with a rosin bag after he warmed up, and he told Barrett that was illegal and used a towel to clean off Gallegos' arm. I mean, but stop already, for crying out loud. Jesus Christ. Oh, my God. Leave the pitchers alone. We can't. Rosin's out there for a reason. Betts. Mookie Betts sets a Major League Baseball history to his 10th leadoff home run before the All-Star game, if people care about stats like that. I believe he tied Bobby Bonds. I'm sorry, I think Bobby Bonds. He tied him with the only ones with 10 pre-All-Star game home runs. He'll be certainly part of that All-Star game this week. The Marlins Nunez wins the Futures MVP with a catch. We talked about their prize rookie, by the way, getting sent down. Yuli Perez getting sent down. These guys controlling their innings is just kind of ridiculous. The Marlins are in the middle of a freaking pennant race, and because these guys have not had built their arm strength up until now, we're going to take our best pitcher. At the time, he's their best pitcher, but pitching great. I've seen it every year. We see this now. Steven Strasburg. The Nationals may likely have cost themselves a World Series in his rookie season by shutting him down. And don't tell me, again, he's had all these arm injuries. So you show me how protecting pitchers, and I don't want to go down this road forever. I'm going to say it again. I'm a broken record, I know. You show me how protecting pitchers and pitch counts and all this other BS is protecting pitchers' health. Steven Strasburg is a perfect example of why what they're doing doesn't work. Harper gets hurt yesterday. Manning, by the way, we talked about just a second ago, is part of that Tigers three-man perfect game. Not perfect game, no-hitter. It was Manning, Foley, and Lang. I got to see something. Let me look at the because I want to see if I want to really have a hissy fit over this. Where is it? How come I can't find it? I know you're here. Don't hide on me, Tigers. How come I can't find them? There it is. Let's look at this box score. I want to see how many pitches Manning threw in this game, just so I can really get my head to explode. 91 pitches. He pitched 6 2/3 innings, 3 walks, 5 Ks, 91 pitches. Come on. 25 more pitches got thrown in this game. He couldn't have gone out and thrown 116 pitches. My God, I talked to you guys about a game that was a 15-inning game in the 70s with Ryan and Tion, where they both threw over 250 pitches. Pretty sure it didn't affect their careers at all. What do you got here? Yes, Ivan Rodriguez got his championship. That's what I thought. Yeah. Ivan. Sorry. Ivan would be Russian. They say Ian Anderson may rejoin the Braves soon. Really? I thought he had Tommy John surgery like the middle of last year. Well, that'd be a year, I guess. Let me just see something. Ian Anderson, if you don't know, is a Shenandoah Hall graduate, pitching in the Braves system. No, I don't. So in April, he had Tommy John surgery in April. There's no way he's coming back. I'm not sure where we're getting that. Let me make sure this is the right date. Maybe this is last year. Oh, man. April 11th, 2023. Yeah, he just underwent Tommy John surgery in April, Rick. There's zero chance he's pitching this year. In fact, it'd be unlikely if he pitched to the All-Star game next year. Would be kind of more likely. So unless I'm missing something, I don't know if that's accurate. Anderson has pitched one game in the minors and was awful. Why? I don't understand why he would be back. Who's even letting guys pitch? He had Tommy John surgery in April. Tommy John surgery is a year before guys come back. I'm a little confused by this whole thing. I would not even think he pitched a game. I mean, why? And you don't rush a young. And I talk about protecting young guys and letting them pitch. But when you've had Tommy John surgery, you don't let them pitch 4 months later, 3 months later. I'm missing something. Unless he didn't have the surgery. I see 3 articles here that say he had season-ending surgery in April. I'm a little confused, and I don't see any news about him since. I guess I could search on ESPN. What are the Braves thinking? I don't know. This is crazy if that's what's happening here. I'm very, very confused. Ian Anderson, news. Yeah, the last thing on ESPN was he got sent to the minors last year. He had Tommy John surgery in April. I don't understand. I can't find another article. I'm not doubting you guys that he pitched. I'm just. Oh, the one game was before the surgery. Okay. Well, that makes sense. You're not going to see him. You're not going to see him until next year about this time. I'm not sure. I can't find one article about that. Rick, send me a link. Put a link in the comments if you would. Because I can't find anything that references him since April when he had Tommy John surgery, and nobody has Tommy John surgery and pitches 3 months later. He's expected to return for the 2024 season. It's unfortunate too because he had a quick ascent to the majors, and he was very, very good in. He had 10 wins in 21 when they beat the Astros, I believe, in the World Series, and he finished 7th in the Rookie of the Year voting in 2020. But he helped them win the World Series, and the year after, he was not very good, got sent to the minors, and then I believe he got hurt. So, good morning, Dave Guyette. Good to have you. Dave Guyette is actually related to Ian Anderson. And again, as far as I know, he's out. So, Rick, if you can find me something that he pitched recently, obviously not in April, I'd be interested in seeing that article. So, what else we got going on here today? Oh boy, how about the we got in the NFL? Oh wait a minute, I didn't finish up my Major League Baseball news today. See what else is going on here. Harper got hurt, got hit on the elbow. He went out the other day. Senga, Alex Cobb, Corbin Burns, and Pablo Lopez all named to the All-Star game National League roster as replacement players for pitchers who will be inactive. Should we pick guys that are going to be inactive anyway? We have a little bit 78 guys that are going to be all-stars. I mean, used to be you couldn't do that. Used to be they would tell managers, ask them either not to pitch their guys, which is stupid. I would never sit guys in the regular season miss a start so you could pitch in the All-Star game, or they just wouldn't pitch. So Drew Rasmussen is out for the season. He needs a 3rd surgery on his elbow. Not good news for the Rays, who had done a great job of managing these injuries, especially to their pitching staff. But now it's starting to go the other way. Anything over here? Alex, this is an interesting story. Alex Manoah for the Blue Jays, who was just horrendous and got sent to low A. He didn't just get sent to the minors. He got sent to the lowest part of the minors you can go and got hammered there. But he did come back and pitch 6 innings the other night against the Tigers. He gave up 1 earned run on 5 hits, and he recorded 8 strikeouts and walked 0. So maybe Alex Manoah has straightened out his issues, which would really certainly help the Blue Jays' efforts going forward here. Kenny, it's getting that time to try my luck and mow my field for the first time this year. Oh, boy. Don't get hurt out there, Kenny. We got to play some golf in a few weeks. Or better yet, just roll a big fat one and watch it continue to grow. For your own health's sake, Kenny, I think I would vote for option B. Oh, God, that's funny. Oh, Kenny. Kenny. Yeah, we talked about Dustin May. I don't think we talked about Dustin May here. Tuve's gone on the IL, so that's about all we got there. Let's move to I want to move to the NFL. Where's my NFL notes? Because I can do any of these. What tells the difference? A couple of things in the NFL. Tom Brady. Nobody's going to care because what's $30 million at Tom Brady? But Tom Brady lost in excess of $30 million in the collapse of FTX, Bitcoin, if you will. That's why. How do you get involved in Bitcoin? Maybe I just don't understand it. But if I can't, and Carlos is still here, I'm sure he'll tell me all the virtues of Bitcoin. If I can't take it to the store and spend it, I don't need it. So Tom Brady I'm sure there are other people who could not afford $30 million that got caught up in this thing and got killed as well. Corey Dillon, former Bengals and Patriots great, is really upset about the franchise's Ring of Honor process. We talked about this a little bit on the Mac and Jack show. The fans actually do it. In most cases, with the Patriots, with the Cowboys, whomever, it's the team who's deciding who goes up in that Ring of Honor. Now we're talking about the Hall of Fame. We're talking about individual teams' Ring of Honor or their Hall of Fame. Corey Dillon leads this franchise in rushing by miles. And he probably deserves to be in that Ring of Honor. The problem is he was a very mercurial player, especially with the Bengals. Had some issues with fans, with media, with the team. Ended up getting traded to the Patriots, and he was one of the guys with bad attitudes that came in during that Patriots' great run and contributed greatly to a Super Bowl championship. And I guess, it's not. Is it a big deal? Obviously, it's a big deal to him. In talking to Jim Jeffcoat earlier, the former Cowboy great, it's not something he has been similarly left out of the Cowboys' Ring of Honor. He belongs up there. But, his attitude is he doesn't care. He knows what he contributed during his career, and that's all that really matters. Now, it depends on personalities, right? Corey Dillon apparently needs that recognition, or he's going to feel slighted. But, he did have a really great career with the Bengals, and if you're going to look at it just on performance, then he definitely belongs there. Now, as I said, he wasn't always a good citizen in Cincinnati, let's say it that way. There's only 6 members that have been recognized in the group, by the way. That's team founder Paul Brown, certainly warranted. Quarterback Ken Anderson, certainly warranted. One of the most underrated quarterbacks in NFL history, in my mind, Ken Anderson. Quarterback Ken Riley, another great player. I believe he just went into the Hall of Fame last year. Offensive tackle Anthony Munoz. Wide receiver Isaac Curtis, and offensive tackle Willie Anderson. O'Reilly will be posthumously inducted into the Hall of Fame this year, joining Munoz as the only players with a gold jacket. And Corey Dillon, this is very funny. In a recent interview, Dillon said he didn't believe he would ever be recognized by his former club, or at least not anytime soon. He said, "I'm pretty sure they will put effing John Kitna in there before me." As a matter of fact, Scott Mitchell will end up in that MFer before I do. Corey Dillon still able to turn a phrase, as it were. How much to Billy? I don't know. Billy's not with us today. If Billy's into Bitcoin, hopefully he wasn't into the FTX. I can tell you what I lost, 0, because I'm not, something I can't understand even a little bit, I'm not investing in. Ugh. Actually making money in the market again. Might actually retire one day soon. If you look at the Ring of Honor on most teams, it's players on that were not only great players, but also good people in general. I don't disagree, Kenny, that is the case. I mean, when you look at the one I just mentioned, all of those guys were, I guess, would be labeled as stand-up guys, at least as far as I know. Think about Dallas. Pretty sure Michael Irvin's up there. So, there's always going to be an exception. But, I mean, I think about the Patriots Ring of Honor. And I know, the number one guy that comes to my mind is John Hanna, who certainly was a great player and a tremendous person, if you will. Here's the Patriots Hall of Fame. So we'll kind of give you there. Vince Warfolk, Tracy Sermonti, who was the cheerleading director, Richard Seymour, so good guy. Rodney Harrison, had a bit of a reputation as a headhunter when he played, but not a bad guy. Leon Gray, never heard bad things about Leon Gray. Matt Light, definitely a great player and a person. Raymond Claiborne, Kevin Falk, Willie McGinnis. Now that happened, his trouble happened after he was in the Ring of Honor. Teddy Bruschi, Ty Law, Houston Antoine, Gil Santos, a great play-by-play guy. Troy Brown, great guy, great person. John Morris, Drew Bledsoe, great person. Sam Cunningham, Jim Nance, Stanley Morgan, stand-up guy. Ben Coates. Ben Coates might push Kenny's argument a little bit, as he had some issues with a female sports writer that was well documented during the Gulf War. Billy Sullivan, the former owner. Bruce Armstrong, Andre Tippett, Steve Grogan, certainly all stand-up guys. Mike Haynes, Babe Purley, Steve Nelson, Leon Hunt, Bob D, Nick Bonacani, Gino Capoletti, and as I said, John Hanna. So I guess for the most part, that backs up Kenny's argument, because the only one I would say character issue here would be, well, two, I guess would be, and I'm still not sure about McGinnis, would be Ben Coates and Willie McGinnis, and Willie McGinnis' issue happened after he was part of that Ring of Honor. So what else is going on in the NFL here? Let's take a quick look. That's something I wanted to talk about here. We talked about Dylan. Oh, Mark Ingram, former Saints great, former Alabama great, former Heisman Trophy winner, will be part of Fox. He'll join them as an analyst. Joining, I don't know where J.J. Watt signed. I think J.J. Watt signed with CBS, not sure. USFL standout Aubrey, who's a kicker, will vie for the Cowboys kicking job. If so, he would be the first player from the latest incarnation of the USFL to actually make it to the NFL. And the NFL did extend their deal with the betting data integrity firm, Genius Sports, which is supposed to, I'm not sure exactly what they do. The low latency game feed powers NFL's bet and watch and bet platform. The NFL's watch and bet platform. I can't read this any further. The NFL and gambling, look it was fine. I gamble on NFL games. The NFL shouldn't be the person I'm gambling with. I don't understand, man. I just don't understand. I got to get into one more story outside of pro sports. We'll get into this probably. Very ugly story, by the way, at Northwestern. Coach Pat Fitzgerald, who was probably fortunate to have kept his job last year due to performance. And I like Pat Fitzgerald. I thought he has done a great job at Northwestern. There was a time I thought he was going to be an NFL coach for sure. But he's been suspended 2 weeks, and that's under review now, by the way, for a hazing issue that's happened with a bunch of the freshmen come to light. But now the university president, Michael Schill, has said he's reviewing this because as it's come to light, some of the details that came out about this 6-month investigation, it was commissioned into hazing allegations made by an anonymous whistleblower. There was some really, really, and again, I don't know all the details. I just know that this hazing was of a sexual nature. It took place in the locker room. It took place in other places, and was very traumatic for a lot of these young players. I don't know all the details about. I'm trying to read here now as we go. A former player who was asked to remain anonymous told the Daily Northwestern that sexualized hazing activities took place in the team's locker room. One common practice called running involved a younger player being restrained while 8 to 10 older players engaged in a sexualized act in the locker room. Versions of running took place during various portions of the year, including Thanksgiving and Christmas. It's a shocking experience as a freshman to see your fellow freshman teammates get run. And then you see everybody standing by in the locker room. If this is all accurate, Pat Fitzgerald is going to lose his job. I don't understand in this day and age. Hazing, I get as a general practice. This type of thing and some of the other things that have happened during hazing to get out of control. It's one thing to hazing and say, okay, go out and steal the mascot's, your rival's mascot. It's another thing when you're getting into something like this. So not good. All right, guys, anything else before we wrap it up? Just remember that we'll have a month or so to make changes before the live draft. Everyone's suggestions can be heard through Yahoo Fantasy Chat. So do that. Set that up, CA. And by the way, I'll get more into that Northwestern story when we get back to the college football huddle. Set that up, CA, and we'll certainly take a look at it. I'll take a look at the parameters. I'll make some suggestions if you guys want to participate, and hopefully you will. I mean, CA, I feel like we got to get 12 guys to have a representative league in my mind. So I think that's where we ought to look at. If it's true, then he should get jail time. Well, again, if he was, it depends on, I don't know. You're probably right. I mean, what about if he instigated it and he instituted it? Well, yes. If he looked the other way, I'm not so sure. I mean, if the players instituted it, would they get jail time? I mean, this is a very delicate situation, and this could get uglier as details emerge. Unfortunately, it's really sad that we're going to go that way. Anyway, guys, I appreciate you tuning in today. I apologize again. At least looks like they've kind of righted themselves a little bit, our internet issues as the show's gone along. I appreciate you for dealing with it as long as you did, and I appreciate your guys' input. And we certainly, I always appreciate you guys' comments, bringing up topics, sports and unsports related. But it was fun regardless. So, guys, have a great Sunday. We'll see you next week with the Stream of Consciousness. I'll also be live next Friday with Are You Serious? And very soon we'll be back on Wednesday nights with the college football huddle. And we'll have our great friend Larry Sorensen on very soon to talk about the ACC and other things around college football. Have a great Sunday. Bye-bye.